My girlfriend sold my late grandfather's classic Mustang while I was at work to fund her influencer trip. She texted me a picture of her new designer bag, saying, "Treating myself." I replied, "Good, you'll need it for court." Then I canceled her credit cards and reported the car stolen. I'm sitting in my garage, staring at the empty space where my grandfather's car should be. It's a 1967 Ford Mustang, cherry red, and it was his pride and joy. He left it to me when he passed away 3 years ago, and I've spent nearly every weekend since then working on it. It wasn't just a car, it was my last real connection to him. The smell of the old leather and gasoline was the smell of my childhood. Yesterday, that space was filled. Today, it's just a few oil stains on the concrete and a gaping hole in my life. My girlfriend Jenna, 33, and I have been together for 4 years, living together in my house for the last 2. I'm 36, I own a small contracting business, and I work with my hands. Jenna is a social media content creator, which mostly means she takes pictures of expensive things and posts them online. I never really got it, but I supported her. I paid the mortgage and the bills so she could focus on building her brand. Looking back, I was a fool, an absolute blind fool. The signs were there. She always called the Mustang that dusty old thing, and complained about how much space it took up. She'd ask why I wasted my weekends tinkering with junk instead of taking her to brunch. I always just brushed it off. I thought she was just different, that she didn't understand the sentimental value. I never imagined she could do something like this. This morning, I left for a job site at 6 a.m., same as any other day. Jenna was still asleep. Around noon, my phone buzzed. It was a picture from her. She was posing in front of some fancy-looking hotel lobby, holding a brand new designer handbag that costs more than my monthly mortgage payment. The text read, "Finally treating myself to something nice. This influencer life is paying off." I just replied, "Looks nice." I was busy, trying to manage a concrete pour before the rain started. I didn't think much of it. I got home around 7 p.m., exhausted and covered in dust. The house was quiet. I figured Jenna was out with her friends, celebrating her new bag or whatever. I showered, made a sandwich, and went out to the garage to work on the Mustang's carburetor for an hour before bed. And it was gone. The first thing I felt was confusion. My mind just couldn't process the empty space. I thought maybe it had been stolen. I ran back inside, heart pounding, ready to call the police. That's when I saw the envelope on the kitchen counter. My name was written on it in Jenna's loopy handwriting. Inside wasn't a letter. It was a check for $5,000 and a short, scrawled note. "Hey babe, had an amazing opportunity come up for a brand trip to Miami, but I was short on funds. I know you've been wanting to clear out the garage anyway, so I took care of it for you. A guy my friend knows buys old cars and he gave me a great deal. Using the money for the trip and my new bag. I even left you some of the profit. See you in a week. Love, Jay." I read it 3 times. The words swam in front of my eyes. She sold my grandfather's car, for a trip, for a handbag, and she thought leaving me $5,000, a fraction of its actual value, would make it okay. Something inside me didn't just break, it turned to ice. The hurt was there, deep and heavy, but on the surface, all I felt was a cold, sharp clarity. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a betrayal on a level I couldn't have imagined. I walked back to the kitchen, picked up my phone, and looked at the picture she'd sent me again. Finally treating myself to something nice. I typed out a new reply. "Good, you'll need it for court." Then I did 3 things. First, I called my bank. I reported every single one of our joint credit cards as stolen. I explained that my partner had made a significant fraudulent transaction and left the state. They immediately froze the accounts. Her access to my money was gone. Second, I called the non-emergency police line and reported the car as stolen. I explained that my girlfriend had sold it without my permission, that the title was solely in my name, and that I had a note from her admitting to the act. They took my report seriously and said they would open an investigation. Third, I logged onto her social media. There it was. Her profile was full of pictures from Miami. Her and her equally vapid friends drinking cocktails on a rooftop bar, posing on the beach. She'd tagged the brand that was supposedly sponsoring her trip. Out of curiosity, I sent the brand a polite message, asking if they were collaborating with Jenna. 5 minutes later, they replied, We have no record of this person. We do not work with influencers who have such a small following. This is likely a fake brand trip." So she lied about that too. She sold a piece of my family, a piece of my soul, for a fake vacation to impress people on the internet. I packed every single thing she owns into trash bags. Her designer clothes, her makeup, her ring lights, all of it. It's all sitting by the front door. I've already called a locksmith. He's on his way over to change the locks on my house. She thinks she'll be back in a week. She has no idea that the life she had here is already gone. She didn't just sell a car, she sold our future. And now, she's going to have to pay for it. Update 1. 48 hours later. The last 2 days have been a blur of legal paperwork and cold, hard fury. Thank you all for the comments and messages. It helps to know I'm not crazy for reacting this way. The locksmith came and went on the first night. The feeling of turning that new deadbolt, knowing her key was now just a useless piece of metal, was one of the most satisfying feelings I've had in my life. The calls started the next morning. It was around 10 a.m. I was at my lawyer's office, going over the details of the fraudulent sale. My phone rang. It was Jenna. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a frantic message came through. "Mark? What is going on? My card just got declined at the hotel. I tried the other one, and it didn't work either. This is so embarrassing. Call me back right now." I didn't. Instead, I forwarded the voicemail to my lawyer, who had a good chuckle. He confirmed that since the title was solely in my name and I had her handwritten note, we had a very strong case for felony theft and fraud. The police had already entered the car's VIN into the National Stolen Vehicle Database. The real fireworks started about 6 hours later. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was one of her friends, Tiffany. The one who apparently knew a guy who buys old cars. "Mark, what is your problem?" She shrieked into the phone. "Jenna is stranded. The hotel kicked her out because her payment didn't go through. You can't just cut her off like that." I kept my voice calm and even. "Tiffany, you participated in the theft and sale of my private property. I'd be very careful about what you say next. The police have your name as a person of interest in an active investigation." The silence on the other end was beautiful. I could practically hear the gears turning in her head as she realized she was in serious trouble. She mumbled something about not knowing and hung up. Jenna's social media posts stopped abruptly. The glamorous pictures of Miami nightlife were replaced by a wall of silence. I can only imagine the panic that was setting in. No money, no hotel, and now her friends were likely backing away, not wanting to get dragged into a police investigation. This morning, the other shoe dropped. I got a call from a detective. They had located the car. Apparently, Tiffany's guy was a shady, unlicensed dealer who operated out of a warehouse. He bought the Mustang for $15,000 cash, no questions asked, because Jenna had a copy of an old registration and a sob story about needing money to escape an abusive boyfriend. She forged my signature on a bill of sale. The dealer, now facing his own legal issues for purchasing stolen property, had already sold the car to a legitimate classic car collector in another state. The detective told me it was a mess, but they were working on recovering the vehicle. He also told me they had issued a warrant for Jenna's arrest on charges of grand theft auto and forgery. The best part? Because she used the mail to send the forged documents, she might also be looking at federal charges. My lawyer advised me to send her one final formal communication. I drafted an email with my lawyer CC'd. "Jenna, it has come to my attention that you sold my 1967 Ford Mustang, which is titled solely in my name, without my consent. You admitted to this in a handwritten note. I have reported the car stolen, and I am aware that a warrant has been issued for your arrest. I have also frozen all joint financial accounts, as you use them to facilitate your travel after committing a felony. Your belongings have been packed and are being moved to a storage unit. You can arrange to have a third party retrieve them once you have dealt with your legal situation. Do not contact me again. All future communication must go through my attorney." I hit send about an hour ago. I haven't gotten a reply yet. Her parents called a little while ago. Her mother was crying, asking how I could do this to her, how I could be so cruel as to have her daughter arrested. I asked her a simple question. Did you raise your daughter to believe it's okay to steal from the people who love her? She didn't have an answer for that. She just kept saying I was ruining Jenna's life. No, I said, my voice as cold as steel. She's ruining her own life. I'm just holding the door open for the consequences. I hung up. The trash bags of her things are gone now, moved to a storage unit I paid for a month in advance. My house feels quiet. It feels like mine again. This is far from over, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my own life. Update 2. 1 week later. It's been a little over a week since I found out about the car. The quiet in my house has been a blessing. I've spent the time cleaning, organizing, and reclaiming my space. I moved my workshop tools around in the garage, filling the empty spot where the Mustang used to be. It still hurts to see it, but now it feels more like a battle scar than an open wound. The legal process is moving faster than I expected. Jenna, realizing she had nowhere else to run, turned herself in to the police in Miami. Her parents had to fly down and post her bail. According to my lawyer, she's facing some serious charges, and the district attorney isn't inclined to be lenient, especially given the premeditated nature of the crime and the forgery. The smear campaign I was expecting has begun, but it's been laughably ineffective. Some of her influencer friends started posting vague things on social media about toxic men and financial abuse, trying to paint me as the villain who cut off his poor, innocent girlfriend for no reason. It didn't work. I never responded publicly, but the truth has a way of getting out. The story of her stealing and selling a classic car to fund a fake vacation is just too specific, too wild to be spun any other way. People who know me, who know how much I loved that car and my grandfather, immediately knew her story was nonsense. The few mutual acquaintances who reached out to me got the simple, unvarnished truth. Most of them were horrified on my behalf. Jenna's parents tried to intervene again. Her father, a man who has never once shown me a shred of respect, called me and offered to make this right. His version of making it right was for me to call the DA and drop the charges. In return, he would pay me back for the car. I asked him what he thought the car was worth. He confidently said, well, she got $15,000 for it, so let's say $20,000 for your trouble. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. That car, in its current state of restoration, was conservatively valued at over $50,000. Fully restored, it would be closer to $80,000, but its sentimental value is something you couldn't possibly understand. So, no, I will not be dropping the charges. He started yelling then, calling me ungrateful, saying I was throwing away a 4-year relationship over a stupid car. You're right, I said. I am throwing away a 4-year relationship, but it's not over a car. It's over the fact that your daughter is a thief and a liar who values a handbag more than my family, my trust, and my heart. The car was just the weapon she used to prove it. I hung up before he could respond. The best development came yesterday. The classic car collector who bought the Mustang was contacted by investigators. He's a wealthy guy who is passionate about cars and has a reputation to protect. He was furious that he had been sold a stolen vehicle and was incredibly cooperative. He has lawyers of his own, and they are now coming after the unlicensed dealer who sold it to him. That dealer in turn is flipping on Jenna and Tiffany, offering to testify against them in exchange for a lighter sentence for his own shady practices. It's a beautiful cascade of consequences. My lawyer is confident we will get the car back. It's currently being held as evidence, but the title is clear, and my ownership is not in dispute. It's just a matter of time. I received a letter in the mail yesterday. It was from Jenna, sent from her parents' house. It was 6 pages long, full of excuses and blame. She was stressed. She felt neglected. I was always working. I didn't appreciate her. The trip was a chance for her to feel independent. She thought I'd be proud of her for being so resourceful. She never thought I'd react this way. Not once in those 6 pages did she write the words, I am sorry. It was all about how my reaction was hurting her. Her reputation was ruined. She could go to jail. It was all my fault for overreacting. I didn't reply. I just added the letter to the growing file of evidence for my lawyer. She still doesn't get it. She still thinks she's the victim. Some people are just incapable of seeing the wreckage they create. They just walk away from the fire and complain about the smoke. Final update, 3 months later. It's been 3 months, and the dust has finally settled. I'm writing this from my garage, and for the first time in what feels like an eternity, I'm not staring at an empty space. The Mustang is home. Getting it back was an ordeal. It was transported from 2 states away, and there was some minor damage from being moved around so much, but it's here. It's mine. The moment the flatbed truck rolled up my driveway and unloaded that beautiful piece of machinery, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. It was over. I had won. The legal battle ended not with a bang, but with a plea deal. Faced with overwhelming evidence, the note, the forged bill of sale, the testimony from the dealer, and Tiffany, who turned on her instantly to save her own skin, Jenna had no choice. She pleaded guilty to felony theft and forgery. She managed to avoid jail time, which I was initially angry about, but her sentence was severe in other ways. She got 5 years of probation, a permanent felony record, 200 hours of community service, and was ordered to pay full restitution. Not the $15,000 she got for the car, but the court-appraised value of $55,000. Her father paid it. He had to take out a second mortgage on his house to write that check. The look on his face when he handed it to my lawyer was, I'm told, a perfect picture of defeated arrogance. That check didn't just represent the value of the car. It represented the total cost of his daughter's entitlement. Jenna's life, from what I hear, has completely unraveled. Her influencer career is a joke. The scandal of her arrest and conviction became a small local news story, and the details were humiliating. Her brand is now permanently associated with theft and deceit. Her social media is a ghost town. Her friends, especially Tiffany, abandoned her. She had to sell the designer bags and clothes to help pay her legal fees. She's living back at home with her parents, working a retail job at the mall. There's a certain poetic justice in that. The woman who sold a piece of my soul for a life of luxury is now folding sweaters for minimum wage. I never spoke to her again. Her lawyer tried to arrange a meeting for her to apologize in person, likely a tactic to get me to speak on her behalf at sentencing. I refused. An apology without accountability is just manipulation. I had nothing left to say to her. I used the restitution money to finish the Mustang's restoration. I hired the best shop in the state to do the bodywork and paint, and I've spent my weekends meticulously rebuilding the engine. It's more beautiful now than my grandfather ever could have dreamed. Every time I turn the key and hear that engine roar to life, it feels like a victory. It's a symbol that you can't break something that's built on a solid foundation. My life is better now, quieter, more authentic. I've started dating someone new. A woman who actually asks questions about the car and listens with genuine interest. A woman who understands that some things are worth more than money.